Today we are going to be discussing the organic cult builder framework. Let's first start with pillar one, and we're going to call this the relationship. Why most people struggle to scale organically, especially nowadays, is they treat organic kind of like this free advertising factual platform, and they post a shit ton of logical things. Here's the tips, here's how to solve this problem, here's how to get your next girl to say yes to you, here's how to lose 5 pounds, here's what you need to do to have energy. It's very logic based, and logic just doesn't create diehard loyalty. It just doesn't. Our job is to create diehard loyalty. Kind of like, you know, have you ever seen John Tucker Must Die? Where they like make him wear a thong, and then the next day all the basketball guys are wearing thongs because he's like, oh dude, it makes you jump more. Same thing. Everybody's so bought into him, it doesn't matter what he does or what he says, everyone's like, wow, that must be something. That's what we're trying to build when it comes to emotional buy-in, and that's also why when you build a cult-like following, you actually have more of a responsibility to not lead your people astray. There's a higher level of responsibility, but equal side of opportunity that gets built when you position yourself this way in your content, right? With great power comes great responsibility. And inverse, with great responsibility also comes great power. So if you can see both sides of that, that's when you can really start like pulling yourself up. So write this down. Paid ads buys attention, but organic content buys trust. It's not really helpful if you get attention, but nobody knows who you are. Like I could walk on the street and scream and everybody would look at me for a second. But what's that really gonna do? You can either see me scream or make a scene, or maybe you walk by and you see me giving a homeless person a meal. Now I have your attention, and I also have your trust because you're seeing me do something. So going back to pillar one, the relationship, the character and integrity, that's the lever. So if you see me doing something to people, if you see me demonstrating what I'm talking about, there is an aspect where you go, I see more of that person's character, I see their integrity, so therefore I trust them more. So think about it like this. Your content focus for this could be how you treat your partner, your family, friends, etc. I was hosting the visionary call, and somebody had said, well, I rescue a lot of animals. What does that have to do with my business? And I said, that has everything to do with your business, because if I know you're somebody who has a bunch of rescue animals, I can look at that and immediately say, wow, I trust that person. That's a very wholesome person. You guys heard how you do one thing is how you do all things. So if I see you doing one thing that I see as high integrity, then I'm going to assume that that's what you do in every other area of your life, which can also be very dangerous. Because somebody can promote themselves in one way but be a complete piece of shit everywhere else. But if the only thing I'm seeing is how you're positioning yourself, that's where social media creates their story for you. So if you also see people who are in the comments, people are like, you're the best person ever, I'm so happy, like, oh, and you're like, that person's a piece of shit. How do all of these people think that? Because they're just seeing what's being shown. The human brain is always looking for shortcuts to figure out whether or not somebody is trustworthy or safe or not. If I post something once that somebody gets triggered about, they go, Nick's a piece of shit, he's a womanizer, he's a this, you know, they create these stories, and then that's where they categorize me, because that's what the brain does. We want people to see us in the lens that we actually see ourselves. So if we don't like the way that people are viewing us, usually there's some sort of truth to what they're seeing. If I say something about you and you get upset, it's because you feel that same way about yourself. But if somebody says something about you and you know deep down that's literally not who I am, it's actually impossible for that to bother you. So there's a really cool internal system of truth behind what stimulus you experience when somebody says something about your character or how you treat people or something along the lines. Does that make sense? Cool. So let's say I post a picture of me and Lily. Left brain sees the picture, but the right brain feels something different. Safety, moral alignment, and proof of character. If I just, in this example, post a picture of me and Lily, she's all smiles, gooey caption, love my woman, which I do, then all of a sudden, when I finally make an offer, the underlying fear of, is this guy a scammer, is gonna be gone in a lot of people's minds, because they see something that they resonate and they say, wow, this person, look at how he treats this person, or look at how he talks about her, look at how that's so romantic, or that's so, you know, so you fill in these gaps. The thing that I really want you to walk away from this training with today is that every single aspect of your life can benefit your business, but you can post it without trying to figure out how to tie it into your business. That's when you start to miss the whole thing. Well, yeah, I'm gonna post about my hobby, but how do I tie that back into what I do for people? You don't. That's just what you do for you. And I'm gonna connect with you because I also do that for me. Was it on the men's call? Some guy raised his hand and asked about his hat, and it was the Vulcan. It was visionary, and it was Vulcan. And the second that he said it was a Vulcan hat, I went, oh, did you used to skateboard? And he was like, yeah, what? And I was like, I know because I used to skateboard and I loved that brand when I skateboarded. And then we talked a little bit about skateboarding. So we instantly connected. I have no idea what he does, but I instantly felt more connected to him because we both have a shared background, which makes my brain instantly go, well, we must have shared values now because we share something. So because I emotionally resonated with being a skateboarder, the timing of how long ago we were skateboarders doesn't actually matter. Emotional resonance always beats time relevance. If you can think about something that happened to you or something that's a part of your story, but it happened 15 years ago and you go, well, I don't want to keep talking about that. It's old, it's not relevant in my life anymore. That doesn't matter. If it emotionally resonates with somebody who's going through that right now, it's the most powerful piece of content that you can make. Tracking? Cool. Let's go to pillar 2, the struggle and the scars. This is gonna pull the shared humanity lever. Now, what's my number one rule when sharing shit online like this? Don't cry on camera. I'm gonna say this again because we're filming this for YouTube as well. It is okay for you to be like 3 to 4 minutes into a deep talk about something where you're grounded and a little tear or a little crack in your voice comes out because it makes you emotional, because you're passionate. But if you're sobbing and you hit record and you're like, I'm just being vulnerable, you're not. You look like a fucking psychopath and nobody is going to buy from you. I've seen business coaches tell other people, get on camera and cry so that your audience feels closer to you and then you can make a pitch the following day. That's crazy. That's called manipulation, and that's not what we're going to do. Think about content-wise. Our focus here is the hard times, failures, moments you wanted to quit, and my absolute favorite, sharing your healing journey. And you get to this point where it's like people feel so self-conscious to be in a position of authority, which all of you are in some way, shape, or form. You're in a position of authority. And when you're in a position of authority, you create this story that you're not supposed to be struggling anymore. You create this story that, well, I should have every single area of my life figured out, and if I'm not perfect in this area, then that means I'm not fit to serve and I'm not fit to lead. That's just the ego creating a shame loop to keep you small and keep you stuck. That's not actually real. And if you can adopt the story that healing all of your past traumas, you're gonna have a different level of life that re-triggers all of them again because it's something new. It's something that's making you face more of yourself. So the second that maybe an abandonment wound that you haven't felt in 5 years all of a sudden comes up when now you have 100 clients and a 10-person team and you get frustrated with yourself and you say, fuck, I thought I healed this. I'm so upset. No, I have healed it up to this point. And now I'm seeing the next layer deeper that's going to allow me to scale higher. What a gift. What a gift that is to be mirrored back to me. If I'm hiding the fact that I'm going through that, then I'm creating this false sense of perfection and spiritual enlightenment, and I'm setting everybody else that follows me for leadership, I'm setting them up for failure. Because they're gonna look at me and think, well, once I finally get to where Nick is, then I won't experience any of these emotions anymore. I'll be healed. That's not real. The day you're fully healed is probably right after you die. So stop trying to rush yourself through healing and thinking that once you do that, then you'll be more fit or more qualified. Learning that, hey, I've got this emotion coming up. I've got this fear coming up. I've got this loneliness. I've got this people pleasing. I've got these things that are coming up right now. And I have the tools to see that, work through it, and still do what's necessary in my business to grow it. That right there, sharing that shows people, oh, I thought that I was broken because I felt this way. I'm seeing this person who has the life that I want still experiencing what I'm experiencing right now. That must mean that it's possible for me. When you share the struggle, when you share the wound, when you share the thing that you went through, you trigger empathy. You're here to show people that you can be broken and still move forward. And if I show you that I'm also broken, then it almost comes to this place where we realize nobody's truly broken. Left brain sees a story of failure. The right brain sees, wow, he's just like me. When you're making content, the worst mistake you can do is position yourself up here as the hero and say, I want all of you to be like me. The real level of content that's mastery is showing everybody that you're like them. I'm pulling myself down. I'm not trying to elevate myself up, because when I pull myself down, I can elevate other people. I grew up without a father. The second I say that, anybody in my audience who grew up without a father is now leaning in. Okay, Nick grew up with a father. And when I grew up without a father, I had to go through a lot of very confusing things in my life. I was always battling with the emotion and the feeling of, why am I not enough for him to want to be around? What do I have to do that's going to finally make my father show up again? Do I have to get really good at sports? Okay, he's still not here. My mom put me in dance. Do I have to get really good at dance? He's still not here. Do I have to date a very attractive woman? He's still not here. What do I have to do to get this man to finally see that I'm worth being in his life? And eventually, I had to realize that that's impossible because I don't even know what that is for myself. And I'm waiting for this man to come back and tell me that I'm enough before I feel like I'm enough and actually do something that I like with my life. So inadvertently, I was living my entire life for a father that I didn't even know. And when I realized that, I took my power back and I started telling myself or asking myself, what's the type of man that I want to be? I know what it feels like to have a father or a man in your life that doesn't show up for you, that makes you feel like you're invisible. I don't want to be that, so who do I want to be? And just that question, I let go of everything and stopped blaming my father for being a human that was going through his own shit. And when I stopped blaming him, I also stopped blaming myself. I didn't tell anybody, hey, I'm better than you. I didn't say, you gotta be like me. I said, this was my struggle. This is what I had to do. And inadvertently, somebody who hasn't done that can look at that and that can be a light bulb moment. And they go, holy shit, I've been waiting for my dad to come tell me that I'm enough before I change my life. I have to change my life myself. And in that moment, they've just been called higher. Demonstration. I walked it. I'm not just speaking it. This is what you should do. No, I lived this shit. Just that story that I shared. There might genuinely be somebody who watches this YouTube video who has that type of relationship with their dad, is struggling in their business and goes, I got to book a call with this company because if Nick can do what he's done from where I'm from, then that means he can help me do the same thing. And I don't have to hard pitch that person. I don't have to DM them. I don't have to do sales objection handling. They're gonna get on the call and say, I know this is what I need. What's the price? That's why I never place a high emphasis on sales. 5% of my bandwidth goes towards mastering sales. 95% of your sales should be done in your marketing, your messaging, and your embodiment. And if you do it right, your closing percentage can be 90% for your entire time in business, in my opinion. Pillar 3, we have the obsession and the craft. The lever on this one, unreasonable competence. Honestly, what we're doing right now is a great example of this. Content-wise, focusing on behind the scenes of the things that you're doing, why you're doing them. Let people fall in love with your way of thinking, your mind, how you present things, how you work through things, how you envision how things are run. Think about it, you're just geeking out over your industry. I love this shit. I have strangers in my apartment every week because I love this shit so much. You know what I mean? Like, nobody else does that. Every time I say that, people are like, whoa, what do you charge? I'm like, I don't. You just let them in your home? Yeah, I have guns. The psychological lever that you're hitting here, it's the authority of obsession. When someone is obsessed with something, you literally can't help but look at them and think, like, you've got something that I don't have. This person is insane with how much they know and how much they are just consumed by what they do. I don't have the time to do that in my life, but I do want those results. So let me hire that person to just tell me what to do. After this, I have a guy and his team coming in who's doing a private half day with me. And for our vlog, Owen's just gonna be a fly on the wall. His team's gonna be sitting right here. We're gonna be whiteboarding their whole business, A to Z, breaking it down, telling them where they need to go, etc. And so just that right there, people will also get to be a fly on the wall and see how my brain works, how excited I get, how expansive I am, or how creative I am. And if somebody goes, damn, I don't see my business like that, they're probably gonna message me and try to book a private half day. So like, if I had that, oh, I know exactly where I could take my business after that, but I'm blocked right there. Nick's obsessed with this. This dude's crazy. That's what I want. That's what I want people to feel about me. So the business result from that, it eliminates the need to prove your expertise on a sales call. That right there is what loses most people a sale. Trying to prove that you're actually competent on the call. And this is where you start doing all the features and all the, well, you know, if you sign up, we do this, and it's 24-hour Slack support. It's called offer bloat, where you're adding all of these features to try to justify for the price because you don't actually feel competent and valuable with what you're selling. The outcome is the value. When you're embodied in that outcome, you don't need to convince people with features. Does that make sense? It's an important one. Let's go to pillar 4, lifestyle and standard. The aspirational identity. Yes, people buy an outcome, but they also buy into an identity that they see you embodying. That right there could change your entire business. If they don't see you representing it, they're not going to buy from you. You're just saying words. Content-wise, this is how you live. This is your health. This is your environment. This is waking up every morning and running. This is doing something that's really hard consistently. This is going and, fucking cold plunging. I don't know. Whatever those things are for you that show that you have a high standard and a high livelihood. You can even showcase your wealth if you do it tastefully. I'm not the flashy person. Here's my watch, here's my this, here's my that. But I understand that results are very important for people to listen to you. So when I go on my page and I say, hey, I just made this much last month in my business, let me teach you something about marketing. It's not me saying, look at how much money I made. It's, hey, this is the result of what I'm about to teach you, so lean in. Does that make sense? You can feel the energetic difference. I don't care how much money you make if you're not helping other people. I don't care how much money you make if you're a piece of shit. I don't care how much money you make if you're spending it all on fucking Rolexes and the world's not getting better. That's just not my game. If people see you living this higher life, they project their desires onto you. You see this the most with people who have like crazy chiseled physiques, right? I'm talking about myself. But think about this. If you have a guy who is overweight and his life is in shambles, and he goes on socials and he clicks on a story and he sees another guy shredded, full pump in the gym in the sun and he takes a picture, that guy projects. This guy has the one thing I'm the most insecure about, so that must mean every other area of his life has what I also don't have. Just that one thing of this guy showing a high standard, like a six-pack and muscles, like that's a high standard. You don't just get that by accident. You instantly get credibility. I don't care what anybody says. You instantly get credibility when somebody sees an impressive physique. They do want the business growth, but they really want the freedom and the peace that they are seeing in your life. If we take that fitness one for an example, and let's just say the guy who has the six-pack, but then I see him out with his friends drinking, or I see him traveling and I see him eating a big meal. I'm over here going, what? How can you eat like that and travel and not be on such a strict regimen and still look like that? That's a level of identity that I aspire to have. And then if that guy is talking on his page, this is freedom. When you do it this way, you can go where you want, when you want. You don't have to track. You don't need a scale. You just need this and you just need that. You can look like this year round. Who do I make my check out to? So it doesn't matter what you sell. It doesn't matter what product you have. It doesn't matter any of this. If you can show them the freedom that comes with your product or your service, then you're gonna get people to aspirationally buy into what you're doing, because that's the outcome and the freedom. When we're talking like this, left brain sees the 5 a.m. workout. The right brain sees, man, I wanna get on that frequency. I wanna get around that person's orbit. I wanna get in their vicinity. We were talking about this earlier this week on one of our runs. It's like, damn, I had to get to Austin because the people there, I could feel it. I needed to be in that community because I knew that was gonna do something for my energy. That's what we're doing right here. When people go, I gotta be in the same room as that person. I gotta be the same community as that person, because that's the energy that I need in my life right now. And this also goes back to, if you're crying on social media, people can look at you and also say, that is not the energy I need in my life right now. And when you do it this way, you attract higher tier clients, and they are willing to pay premium prices because they're no longer just buying information. People are literally paying just to have a little bit of vicinity to you because of how magnetizing your energy can be when you're doing things this way. Last and final pillar, the unapologetic worldview. This is the polarity and the cult lever. Final energetics, baby. These are like your strong opinions, your contrarian takes. This is okay. It's okay to have these things. You need to have things that you absolutely stand for or stand against in your industry. And if you don't voice those, it's very hard for people to choose what side to be on. And it's very hard for people to look at you and have this cult-like connection to you. It's kind of like the old saying, if you try to be liked by everybody, you'll be loved by no one. Who would you say is the most loved person in all of human history? Jesus is what I was going for. Now, who's one of the most, we'll just call it hated, the most debated people in all of human history? Hitler. Yeah. Man, I've lost the room. If you can see that there was this man who was so perfect that he inspired everybody to live a better life, and equally people crucified him, why are you so afraid of being crucified online for standing up for what you believe in? It's impossible to avoid it. This is a world where evil is the loudest when it feels threatened. So if you come with your light and you don't budge, evil has to attack you. People have to show their comments. They have to come and attack you. But if you let that dictate whether or not you show up again, then all of your impact, it doesn't actually extend past how the first wave of dysfunctional people respond to you. And now these people have created a wall around your influence and what you're actually supposed to do and who you're actually supposed to help. When I'm saying these worldviews, or we're saying these beliefs, or anything like this, you create this in-group, out-group dynamic. If I say something that makes half of the room say, hell yeah, I totally understand what he's saying, that resonates, that's awesome, and then I get the other half of the room that are like, I don't know why the fuck I'm here, why is this guy talking about this? That's actually the perfect thing for me to be talking about. I've now split the room, and most people would see half of the room leaving and think, oh my God, I should change what I'm talking about, so they stay. But if I'm being true to who I am, if I'm being true to my heart, true to my path, and true to the mission that I think God has for me, and people leave, I should rejoice, because now the room is curated. And now that room will double again in a matter of days, if not weeks, because now these people are gonna walk out of here going, that was incredible, and then they're gonna go to their like-minded friends and say, you have to come to this. But if I try to keep both sides of the room here, these people don't get that response, and then these people are kind of, that was okay. So now the whole room feels neutral. I'm trying to heat things up. What is a cult-like following actually built on? You need a shared belief and a common enemy. Those are the two most crucial things for a cult-like following. Now, a shared belief could also be a worldview, something like that. Shared belief, common enemy. If you have those two things, you have the scaffolding to have a cult-like following. Who is your common enemy with your people? For example, when I talk about business coaches who don't help you understand organic, they don't help you understand your messaging, what you're here to do, who you're here to serve, what's going on, what's happened in your past that's blocking you from showing up authentically, but they go, actually, we just have this entire ad script plan, and if you just spend $2,000 a month on ads, we can get you this and get you leads, etc. That's my enemy right there, because that's not business, that's robotics. There's no actual substance behind anything that you're doing. So sure, I could pay to get your attention, and then I could bludgeon you in the DMs and force you on a sales call, and then I could use some tactics to close you. But what's gonna happen at the end of that client's contract? They're gone. They either got what they needed or they didn't, and then they're not gonna re-sign. This is when people get caught in what I call the ads prison. You've got ad spend and you're making enough money just to keep yourself afloat, but clients are leaving just as fast as you're getting them. It's like eating from Taco Bell. Goes in, comes out, goes in, comes out, goes in, comes out.
Do you have any recommendations for working through what your common enemy?
I think you just think about what are the things that you see in your industry that piss you off. It genuinely pisses me off to see a business coach take somebody who's new and trap them in a monthly recurring payment with them, ad spend, and then all of these scripts. And within 30 days, this person forgot who they even are. They're just waiting for this person to give them their next round of scripts that's written by ChatGPT anyways. But if you get into a container where people normalize that, what do you create? Codependency. You couldn't possibly think for yourself, so you're gonna have to keep repaying me, otherwise you're screwed. Fuck that. I wanna empower my people so much that they can think for themselves and go, man, I see my path, I see what I'm supposed to do, I know how to talk to my people, and this is still the community that I wanna be in. That's how I want my business model to run. Last thing I'll say, you want to violently repel the people who don't align with you, and you want to violently magnetize the people who fuck with what you say. Violence is, in fact, always the answer. So left brain, right brain here. Left brain sees a strong opinion. The right brain goes, finally, somebody said it. That's what you want right there in your content. Now, your audience becomes defensive of you. That's that cult right there. You've got the beehive. You're the queen. I'm a queen. They respect the fact that you're saying the shit that nobody else will say, which makes them trust you. And then when people try to come at you for it, they go, whoa, 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 he's actually speaking facts right now. Why are you coming at him? All he does is speak truth. Why are you trying to make this not? Why are you trying to twist this person's words? Because when you're speaking the truth actually doesn't have to defend itself. The truth naturally inspires defense. When you combine all 5 of these, you literally are a category of 1. People say, oh, it's too saturated. There's so many people in my niche, so many people selling what I'm selling. No, not when you operate and orient your content like this. Nobody can compete with somebody who's not competing with anyone. If I'm just focusing on me, my life, how I show up, the type of man I want to be, the mission that I have, what I care about, what I stand for, I'm not really competing with anybody. I don't need your fucking approval. I don't need to beat you. I'm running my own race. I'm building my own world. Nobody can compete with you in that. That's why you don't have to worry about leads or losing somebody in the DMs or whether or not your content hit. You just trust that the world that you're building is always going to provide what you need. And if you want to learn how I can do that for you, you can go to the link in the description box down below and you can apply to work with us from a coaching perspective. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't so far, and we'll see you in the next video.